Alright, well, welcome back, everybody. Jet Scott here at Scott Speed Shop 2.0. Holy crap, I'm calling it. Anyways, so today, wow, that was really intense. Every time it's always so intense, and then I ruin it because I realize how intense it is, and I think about it. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. Anyways, today, we're working on that 340 right there. The first real project of this new shop, and it's still a freaking mess. We just finished a video, but we got friends coming. We got plans coming for this in a couple of weeks, actually. It's really soon, really crazy soon. So we've got a couple of videos already filmed at the old place for this, which you guys will have already seen. And now you're here. Welcome to the new shop. This engine will finally be built and run and go into our 70 Duster that it is destined for. This is a 340 that's bored 30 over. It is standard crank. We got scat I-beam rods, I believe, for it. We got a solid roller cam set up for it. It's about a 570 lift, 255 duration, you know, typical good size bump stick. W2 unported, unmolested heads. They float at like 270, I think it's 600, right in that range. I can't remember. It's basically right where they say W2s are. These are the race heads. We got Jessel rockers, Mopar W2 tunnel ram with two 750 annular Hollies. I'd rather these have been a little bit smaller, but the annular booster will make up for that. Underneath, we got a mild and road race pan. The TTI W2 headers are supposedly clear column shift and road race pan. They actually do. Look at that. Everything's all bolted up. I mean, it's close, but it's not bad. And it even clears the 90-degree oil filter adapter. So, not too bad. Anyways, there's your introduction to the engine. Oh, and ignition will be that MSD Pro Billet, whatever thing. It had a digital 6AL in the car. We're going to keep that. Probably not going to keep the wires, though. Not because this engine will be painted turquoise because it's a 67 block, actually. It's freaking cool. It's a 67 for 68 model year. It's one of the first ones, so I'm going to pay homage to the block and paint it turquoise because I like that. Hence why it has the earlier style water pump, because I'm keeping the engine 68 era going into my 70 model car. Huh? Isn't that clever? Very. Now this engine was supposed to look very sleeper, very stock. I had a strip dominator with a single force setup, the stock air cleaner, and then the W2 wide valve cover showed up, and then I made these knurled valve cover hold downs, and then the tunnel, it's a new old stock tunnel ram. And I hate to use it, but I mean, it's a sign, you know. Someone above is telling me you can't do that. And I mean, yeah, we could have put more compression in it. We could have ported the heads out, but didn't want to. Anyways, so into the video. Here we go. So, if you're ever wanting to do a tunnel ram setup, that was really long-winded.
You're very long-winded.
Yeah. So if you ever want to do a tunnel ram setup, one of the biggest nightmares people can face is setting up the linkage. So I've done a number of these on my supercharged 440, my Barracuda, one on my Charger, and this moved again, that daggone rascal. Everything is loose set up here, but it's going to take a lot of fiddling, and I use these Interleague kits here. I buy them on eBay. They're about 120 bucks, I think. They come with everything you need, and they're a heck of a lot cheaper than the ones you buy from, you know, box stores like the Summit, or the, not Summit, but like the Lion brand and stuff. They're real expensive. So these come with everything you need, and the main thing is you want to keep adjusting everything the same. So if you turn this knob one turn, I mark it with a paint pen, this one needs to be moved the same. Your carburetors need to be perfectly synced up. These lines need to be as parallel as possible. This one's a little wonky. I'll probably flip this one around to get that straightened up. And then of course you got down here your bell crank. So the main thing here is you need to get that all the way to the back and make sure you got it wide open, which we do. And that's where the headaches can go. So now that this is all set up, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to make fuel lines. But first, let's take a trip to the past, and I will show you how to set up all that linkage piece by piece. Okay, every tool you're going to need to do this: 3/8, combination wrench, 5/16, 5/32, and a 3/32 Allen head, whether it be in a T-bar or a regular Allen, up to you. A 1/2 inch and a 7/16 is always a good idea to have with you. And that's all the tools you're going to need. Alright, now we can go back to the regular video. Okay, so I'm going to do some rearranging here in how this video is structured, because how I was showing you from the get-go was completely wrong. For once, I actually really looked at the photos and the instructions, which by the way, actually really cool looking. So if you actually look at the instructions and look at the pictures and the angles of everything they have, yeah, so I was doing this completely wrong. And I'll show you. See how that angle is now instead of where I had it almost laid over? So now it's got great action to it. I mean, it is literally, it's smooth. Another thing, take my advice this time, and future me, please remember, just go ahead and install everything, because it sucks. So right now I got a paint mark on both those heim joints. I put new ones on there. Used pink because it's brighter and lets me get better visibility. Also marked this one down here. So now I got those 10 turns out each. I need to double check the throttle, make sure the throttles are open the exact same as well, because that'll change that up. And now I got to connect this heim to here and get that functioning smooth. And if I can do it, you guys can do it. It just takes time to fiddle with it, and I'm hoping maybe something in here I'm throwing at you might help. Alrighty, everybody, now we have everything completely dismantled. By the way, I worked kind of pretty hard on getting this camera set up, so right now you are literally head level with me. So I'm 6 foot tall. You're actually a little bit shorter than me, so you're probably if you were 5'10", you'd be looking at this engine. So we have basically everything disassembled that would be disassembled. I mean, this stuff here is pretty simple, okay? So when you get these kits, they come with 3 of these hexagonal aluminum bar stock pieces. There's 2 that are shorter, or there's 2 that are longer and 1 that's shorter. Shorter one goes here, the 2 longer ones go here. And then you have these brass adapters, and they go in these big holes, and that's what they're for. Now you have different throttle arms, like these are like the quick fuel stainless style. You can only use one of those bushings, but if you put a small flat washer on the backside, works great. See, works good. What I did here. Okay, now as far as your carburetors, you want to mount them with studs and stuff, cool. My recommendation, do a stud here, 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 here. So just do 6 studs and just bolt this block down. It's so much easier, trust me. Just bolt this block down. Like I said, these are like the quick fuel, the modern style deal, so they're squared off, so these lock on real good. And then you got to set your height for this heim joint setup. So these heims hold your splined rod here, and this slides through that one, and the longer splines go to the rear, and that's basically how that will affix. And then you have these little arm brackets here, and these are splined in here, and then these Allen heads clamp down onto these, locking them in place. And you also have these little stoppers that also, they control where this sits here and here at the end. And I've got my marks filed off so I can use this real nice. One thing you want to make sure is everything spins nice, everything moves real easy. You don't want any kind of drag or resistance. If you have drag or resistance, stop what you're doing, clean it, oil it, rinse, repeat, do that again. Okay, so now we have our rod installed here. Now we have to decide. So you can't really see it because the big valve cover's on here. Let me just take this off. So, valve cover off. So this is our bell crank here. This engine is not even assembled yet. There's no rotating assembly, no nothing in it. So if something falls in it, it's not the end of the world. I'll remember to get it. Except that time with the satellite. We're not going to talk about that. That's not my fault. So it is my fault. So your bell crank mounts typically right in between these runners, and this one is made specifically for a Mopar W2 style intake. Not that it really matters, but this, I think it does actually. But so you want to have these two put at a 45-degree angle here, so that way when your throttle cable is pulling on this piece, it's rocking it, and we don't want this to flatten out. So we got to get this just right so that way when the throttle cable pulls on it, it don't bottom it out. We want it to be here, but it needs to be, you know what I mean. So we got to connect this Heim to a block up here that'll then move the blocks that attach here and here. So I'm going to kind of speedy through this, and I'm going to get what I can, and when I find a moment that's good tech, I'll do that. And if I don't have any of those, that means I'm just a bumbling moron again. It's only the 10th time I've set one of these up, and every time it feels like the first. I need to correct myself. I've been saying 45s. I meant 90-degree angles. The instructions specifically say anything 90 to less than 90 degrees, you're okay. Now with that revised, back to work on this. All right, so here's the final product. So I know I did not spend a whole lot of time really showing you guys as I did things. Like I promised, but trust me, this is for the best. This is what works best for this particular setup. Doesn't mean it'll work for yours. But here's my front shot. That doesn't sound right. Nothing is tight yet either. These are just snug. These aren't even doing anything other than just kind of being where I need them. And then we'll come from this angle. And that's how we have everything. So now when you want to actuate this to test it as your throttle cable, you don't want to grab from here. You want to grab from here. You want to grab from here. So I'm going to crawl on this side. And this is the first time I think I tried to pull from this. So this is hoping that everything goes smooth. It's still a little stiff at the back end. I can go a little bit more, and we are like 15/16 worth of the way to full throttle, which in most of my experience with tunnel ram setups, is pretty dang close. I mean, we can mess with this setup or one of these. I mean, it could just be a little small thing that'll be biting us. Okay, so I think I've lost track of time. I think it's like 1 or 2 in the morning again out here at the new place. I still got to go home, and I got to make a video for you guys for tomorrow. And here I am, still working on this. Of course, this won't be the video you guys be seeing. This will be in the future. So, finally got everything figured out. I was sitting here trying. It's just like when I eliminate the slop when I adjust these pump cam spring actuators right here. Like, these need to be a little bit tighter for my taste, but they're probably okay because it's not really pumping anything yet. So I would hold this thing wide open and I would see where the slop was. Of course, the first thing I did was I came up to the throttle arm and just pulled. Just to make sure everything's working in unison. And down here, make sure as soon as that's opening, and then you get her wide open, make sure you can do it with your finger. If you can do it with one finger with very little force, and we got her pretty close. Oh yeah, we can go a little bit further, yeah. So now we're wide open, 100%. We clear the manifold just barely. Just barely. We might be able to suck that one up anymore. Problem is, I would like to fix this angle down here. See, this bracket right here, this one we can change it. That's where our throttle cable will hook to, or we'll flip-flop these maybe, don't know. But this one, we can't make this angle here any narrower that direction, because then this will start to maybe want to flip-flop backwards. So this has to at least be this long. So I'm going to keep fiddling with that. That's almost done. That's tunnel ram linkage, and now we get to make fuel lines. God, I want to make fuel lines so much more than doing this. Alright, so finally I can call this a job done. Finally, nipped it, done, finito, cool. Okay, so using just this guy here and our finger, we get that open, we come down here, and we are really, if I put my thumb on there instead, I get a little bit more, but without my thumb, we are, in fact, I can do this. Look at this. Check this crap out. With my thumb, we can go wide open. Look at that quality from Holly. But yeah, we get her pretty close. It's good enough. Everything's really strong, really sturdy. Well, as sturdy as it gets. They always got a little bit of wobble to them. But that's a job done. Our tunnel ram linkage. Get our fuel lines on the way. And once those get here, we will continue this video for you guys. So anyways, here's our fuel line setup. So I was thinking about trying something a little bit different. But here we go again. The Pro Stock Jezebel, it's just the simplest way. My buddy Chris showed me how to do it in one of his videos. I just do it with all AN instead of push lock. This is literally going to be Jezebel's fuel line setup. So what we're going to have here is, these are XP style float bowls, so they have the Dash 8 O-ring, and they're threaded on both sides, so we need plugs here and here. Same thing on the other side. So everything you got to do is you got to mirror it. Then back here we're going to have a Dash 6, well, it'll be a Dash 8 O-ring to Dash 6 fitting here, and that's where this Dash 6 hose barb 90 will attach to. Trying to move slow here. And then you have a piece of hose that'll run this length, where it'll meet into a dual 6 outlet to a Dash 8 inlet. That'll be coupled with a 90-degree coupler fitting right here that'll be attached to another Dash 8 O-ring to Dash 6 hose end, or not hose end, but you know what I mean, fitting. We're gonna flash it on the text here, right here, everything you're gonna need. Okay, actually we'll just show it again. There. Okay, so I got a picture of that. We'll flash it up there for you guys. And basically how this is going to end up looking is, you got to pretend this hose fitting here is actually a coupler. That'll connect right in there, and our fuel line will snake up in between there, not hit anything, go into that guy. Of course, that guy will be sucked up tighter. And then this is going to connect to a Dash 8 here. We're going to have both Dash 8 hoses will come around to the front. They'll meet at a T, and that T will go down to the fuel pump and have adapter fittings to connect it to there. So that way, if we ever want to hop this engine up in the future, we're already plumbed for 8 right there, which is 1/2 inch, and then that'll just need to be the plumb to the car, to the tank. We'll be ready to rock and roll. And I think the car might have 1/2 inch fuel line in it already. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's going to work out really slick. So I'm going to get all these parts on order. Now the big debate here. Sorry guys, you don't get to really wait. Ooh, you guys don't get to really debate on this, because well, we'll have already made up our mind, and it will already have been made before the video comes out. So Anna and I are going to debate on whether or not we go classic red and blue, silver, black, any of these combos. Do we go steel braided? Do we go nylon? I will tell you that in just a split second. Alright, and now we're back with the reveal. So what's it going to be? Well, we're going to go something very unconventional. So I don't mind steel braid. I actually thought about doing red and blue with black nylon, because I like the nylon a lot better. It's easier to work with, and it doesn't cut up my fingers. It's just not as prickly, but it's still got braids in there you got to watch out for. So going back and forth, I really do like the idea of red and blue with the black, but Anna had the idea of the silver with the black, and that's not going to show up very well, but I think that'll look pretty sweet too. So we're going to get all that stuff ordered. We're going to show you how to make a little bit of AN line in case you all forgot, in case anybody needs to know. And then we'll finish that out. That'd be freaking sweet. Okay, Ann and I figured out a problem that we didn't think was a problem last time we videoed doing the fuel lines for this thing. Called my guys at Jegs, my good friend. You know who you are, my good friend. And most of the fittings I want are not in stock, actually. Even at the competition, it's kind of crazy. Well, we really want to do this silver nickel finish. As you can see, like, these are actually like the silver nickel, and then this I think is a polish or Endura Shine. It's FPS brand, whatever that is, for Goya. So yeah, it doesn't match 100%. I never liked it on the Pro Stock, to be honest, which, by the way, that's when I had the epiphany that I have the exact fuel line we're wanting to build on my magnesium Hemi tunnel ram. So this is from the passenger side of the engine. This is literally, we need to make 2 of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these AN fittings apart because they're reusable. We're going to replace all the stainless steel with some really nice braided nylon, the black stuff with the little gray checks on it, and that'll look really cool with the rest of the look of the engine. I know it's a lot of work just for a look, but we're going to do it. and that'll meet up in the front with a T, and it'll be a nice tight bend to meet right there to clear the water neck and everything. If we use this water neck or not, I don't know. So that's the plan. The Pro Stock is giving up its parts for the 340. Thank you. Now to go order stuff. What says you, Hannah?
I'm really hoping that it works out the way we hope it is, because nothing sucks more than when you have all the parts but none of them work.
Well, and Tall John will be here in a couple weeks, so we
Yeah.
don't have time to just order shit. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's go get stuff ordered. Oh, there you guys are. Welcome back. It's another day. It is the following week, and we have our parts from Jegs. See that box right there? That huge freaking box. It's kind of expensive, but it has everything that this guy forgot to have for that 340 right there. By the way, I'm sitting down so you guys just don't get 100% crotch shot, because nobody wants crotch shot. Let's be honest. Okay, what we got in here? We got a bunch of this stuff. I hate this stuff. Oh my god, it's freaking awful. Okay, here's our hose. So this is the hose that Rob and I picked out. Thank you, Rob. That is beautiful. It's got that tracer in it. I think that's going to play well. I know we're putting a lot of effort into freaking stupid things like fuel line, but it's the small things that build up to something neat, no matter how dumb they are. We have all of our fittings. All of our carburetor fittings have to be black. It's just the way we decided to go. There's our new nickel lines. There's our big 8s. We have, so this is part of, in the future, a brand new 6AL digital harness that we can plug in one of our spare boxes to literally run that engine. We're just going to take the coil pry out of the Duster. We could have probably took the whole box out, but it's trying to keep that thing together. So we got a harness. These are cheap. I can't remember what this is. There we go. Thank you, Rob. I was actually just thinking about this utility mat. I mean, you could use it as a utility mat. That's actually really nice. Thank you, Rob. I could put that underneath the lathe to catch all the stuff, but that is pretty nice. I don't want all the oil and metal chippings to destroy that. So we're gonna set this out on the big truck, let it warm up, get shaped. Anyways, we got a lot of cool stuff from Jegs. Now let's go start making fuel line. Okay, first I want to say, normally I use the Carter Super Pumps, but I don't know if they're ever going to be available again, so we got this Edelbrock unit, and hopefully it's a good one. Then we got our adapter fitting to our Dash 8, and went ahead and did full mock-up. Okay, so first thing, Jegs, these fittings here, should have probably just bought the real Holly ones. Problem is, they kind of rounded the edges on the block-offs on these XP bowl plugs. So it makes it real hard to get a socket on there to stay, but there's also not enough room because it takes a 22 millimeter to tighten these. And I can't get a wrench on there, so I had to use a socket. I don't have very many metric stuff, but that's how I had to get those tightened up, and I'm not real sure if I'm trusting those. But the rest of it, however, this is what's funny about when you build fuel lines and when you're building a car is your entire plant can change in an instant. Originally, it's going to be more like Jezebel, where it had a T, so or so. And I just kept moving pieces, changing pieces, and then all of a sudden, it is literally wearing the Pro Stock's full fuel harness minus this piece. That piece I put on there just for the weight, because I'm thinking I kind of don't mind it going off to one side and then it being kind of picked up a little bit like that. A nice gradual bend, so maybe build a bracket and come up here and do something up in there. And it'll literally go right to the fuel pump, and that's basically freaking done. Oh, I did not. Oh, yeah. And we got things. I think we got everything figured out for the oil fill and the breather setups. But yeah, I guess now all I got to do is sit down. I'm going to show you guys one little quick thing on how to make an AN line, and I'm going to burn through it all. We'll show you when we're done. I do feel like I should throw this in here. So I love Jegs. I still will buy from them regardless of anything, regardless of all things and anything that anybody could have against the company. I'm still always back Jegs. They back me. And even though we don't do our deal anymore, I don't think we do at least. If we do, it's news to me. But anyways, I do want to say this. Jegs, I like the off-branded Y so much more, and I have turned these so you can't see them because these are like my Fergolias and my other brands I like. This is sleek and beautiful. And then you have this guy. Jegs, come on. Like, here's my biggest problem. Look at all of that. I mean, look at where you're missing. I mean, okay, so let me show you to a regular one. So, these are two -6 outlets to a -8 inlet. And, I mean, just side by side, they're just awful. I'm sorry. I just don't like these. So, alright, with that said, let's make line. Alright, so here's your instructional part of the video. First off, I gotta say, hats off to Jegs for making these really nice fittings. These are really nice fittings, and of course the off-branders. But I mean, their nickel finish fittings are really nice. And this is one fitting we're gonna be changing out. I like the bend on this, but you can't get it in the nickel. And this particular brand, I think this was a Fergolia. This one's not bad. The other side, I don't trust it. So, and I don't mind braided stainless, but I'm more of a fan of the nylon stuff. This is a great product you can get from Jegs. I mean, I trust all their fittings. I've used them on everything. It's basically been nothing but Jegs fittings. And so we're going to replace the Jegs stainless line with the Jegs black nylon with a tracer. I think that's going to look real sweet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fitting loose here, and then we're going to couple this hose end onto here. We're going to get rid of this whole piece, and then we'll be able to come up here and measure up how far that needs to go up there, and then we can crip it together and be done. I'll show you that here in a sec. Alright, so here's the next step is we got to clamp down our old fitting here. And then I will recommend, if you're ever going to get into Mega A and stuff, this Earl 2-pack here is kind of expensive, but these are worth the money. The steel gear in here, there's almost no slop. These are by far the best money ever spent. And I also like these Tanner crowsfoots. These are also good money spent. But anyways, that aside, so now we just got to unthread this. And normally I would support the other side of it, keep it from walking like that. But I'm kind of filming. But see, that's kind of the point. We just uncouple this and we'll pull it all apart. Alright, now we're here almost at the end. This sucker should be coming off. There it is. So now we'll just clean that up. It's a little bit dirty. We'll pull this piece out. In fact, there it is. We really got to clean that bad boy up. My tape got stuck in there. So now all we got to do is basically take our other piece of hose, stab it on there, guesstimate length, and then recrimp everything. AN lines are really easy. If you ever feel like you're intimidated, don't be scared. If you can put flares on the ends of brake lines, you can do AN line. Trust me. If I could do it, you could definitely do it. So that's coming from this guy. Okay, so let's get this done. You take your piece with the tape. Now, when you cut this, you need to have tape on it. Masking tape preferably. I like this good yellow 3M stuff. I got from the guys at Bad Tree, actually. Always have a thin piece of tape there so it doesn't fray. Then you're gonna take this end. You see it's kind of flared out. You have this end, and this piece goes over the hose, like so. This piece gets shoved in the hose, and then they thread together, locking everything down. It's a compression fitting. It's simple. So this is the trickiest part for most people, is just getting this on here. And really the only way I could say is brute force, slowly twist it, and never take the force off until you feel confident. I feel confident. Yep, it's almost fully seated. And there's a shoulder down inside of there you're not going to be able to see. But if you have this, you'll see the end of the threads. We're basically there. And you just get that pressed on as far as you can. And then you're going to put some oil on this end. And then you'll take this over to the vise. And you'll preferably clamp down this side so this side isn't the side spinning around, smacking you in the head with 6 foot of hose. So, yep, that's what we're going to go do now. And get that oiled up right there on the threads. We'll shove it down, and that's what that's going to look like. Now, you also want to throw this in. Never throw away any of your scrap AN stuff, because this little doohickey right here might save your bacon someday. I mean, In what application do you need this? I have no idea. But I know, like, the 340 here wouldn't have fuel lines, wasn't for the Pro Stock, keeping all the old stuff around, even though I'm not using it, so never throw anything away. And this was starting to fray out, so I double wrapped it with tape. Won't flare out again. Now it just needs another end. Ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna go ahead before I put this end on. I'm gonna see how much this I actually need. So we know this is gonna butt up against this, so we know we'll be good there. And then we can kind of guesstimate that would be pretty good. And I've always found that, see, we're going to be cutting right in this black strip right here is where we're going to be cutting. So we'll have plenty of extra line, so if it needs to come down a little bit more, we can always do that. That ain't going to hurt nothing. But if we need it sucked up, we can always trim more off. It's easier to trim off than to add back on, so that's kind of the premise there. So we're going to pick how we want it. We're going to cut it. We'll do the same thing. We'll put the collet on here, crimp onto there, then we'll get that one crimped on. One hose done, then do the rest. Hey, so I wanted to throw this in here. I have been asked this numerous times, Jed, how do you get that super clean look with any tape showing on my end line? Because most of us end up with this. Doesn't matter how little bit of tape we put on there, we always wind up with this giant nasty wad. So what we got here, Waz word. There's your blade. You just come around here and you just want to take the edge, the very tip of that, and just kind of circumcise that fella right there. I said that. And you just gotta make a couple laps around here. There you go. What you left with? See? Pretty nice clean look. Very nice clean look. Now we can go put our ends on. Goes in the engine. Alright, let's get this bad boy done for you guys so we get all the rest of these done. So, what we've got this clamp, but we don't have it flush. That way we don't have to worry about binding our wrench up. Oh, there's the other version of the blade I was looking for. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of oil this guy up. That way it clips in there pretty good. And we got oil on the threads. That way everything's nice and lubricated. Start off with the little guy, that way you're not putting too much stress on. One thing I like to do is I like to get this hose butted up to the back of that almost as much as I possibly can. Make sure you guys can see everything. Yep. And then I'll take this and just start forcing it in and turning it slowly. And eventually it's going to grab. And the reason why I keep the force on the actual hose. Alright, now we're using the wrench. Just had to readjust. Oh, getting to the point where the little wrench ain't gonna cut the mustard no more. And you just want to get that. I get them about as tight as I possibly can. Make sure you can still use the swivel. If this stops working, back it off, because you're probably breaking something. We're gonna give her one more ugga dugga. Dugga. Yep, there it is. There's our line, and that does look really pretty. So I'm going to get the other end put on here, and then I'm going to show you on the engine, and then we'll get them all done. Well, there it is, that one piece, done finally. Perfect length, I mean, just fell together. Absolutely love that. Now we just got 1, 2, 3 more of those to do, and then we can feel really good about ourselves. Oh wait, we got the one of the fuel pump still, okay. Alright, we're going to get all those done. We'll show you once we're done. Okay, I got one more quick little neat tip here. I figured I would stop doing what I'm doing. I want to show you this. Okay, so you got a piece of stainless steel braid here. So if you've ever dealt with this stuff, it is prickly, it is obnoxious. It goes right through the freaking tape, goes right into your finger. It's obnoxious, it's horrible. So what you can do is after you know, like these are offcuts. I'm not going to use these now, but I keep them around. So instead of leaving them all rough like that, and this can even apply if you just freshly cut it. So this end, you'll see how it's nice. I can run my finger across it and it just kind of scratches me, doesn't stab me. Big pair of metal shears. We just call them our big blue scissors, and you just run around that edge, and that'll deburr that basically, and you want to cut it kind of almost like a 45, and that'll also help with your installation without actually removing anything in it. So much better. More you know. All right, back to work. All right, whew, it's been a long day of work. Okay, so Dad got over here and he actually had a pretty good idea to solve that fuel pump area, but I'll just let you see it. So I don't know exactly if that list Ann and I made is absolutely everything, but I think it is. The only thing we changed was instead of this being a T, this is now a Y. Thank you, Dad, for the idea. Pup looks good.
Oh, look.
Looks good. That's all swoopy and stuff. I really like how that black and silver braided is matching with the valve covers. And that is not the most graceful solution, but it is the solution for now. Ideally, that would have been a 120 or maybe even a 180. But I don't mind it. I don't mind the swoopiness. It don't hang below the oil pan. It's way out of the way.
It'll cool the fuel.
It'll cool the fuel, and it's extra fuel. So, yep, that's 3/8 NPT to -8, all the way up to this Y where it stays 8, where it comes this Y and turns into 6. And so that's that. And the best part, completely clears all the tunnel ram leakage. And that's gonna call it for this episode on the 340, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And maybe help somebody, maybe not. I have no idea. We'll find out. So as always, guys, look forward to seeing the next one. Always take care, and Dad.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.